Ivory from WWE, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
WWE's Ivory. Ivory, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Hey, guys. Hi, Chuck. Hi, James. How are ya?
Doing good.
I'm doing great.
We're ecstatic to have you on the show.
I'm so glad we finally could organize this interview with everybody's schedules overlapping and all that. It's great to be on.
It's great to have you.
And it's always good to gossip with other
wrestling fans.
Indeed. So let's get right into it. How did you initially How did you initially get started in the wrestling business?
I can't believe you're going to ask me that same old boring question.
Oh.
Buried on the air.
I'm talking about something that everybody can look up on the internet. Come on, guys. Come on. Let's get to the meat.
All right. We'll try and get to the meat.
Let's get to the meat, because that's just like what? Everybody knows. I was in Glow. It was like a tough enough experience. It was just something I got dragged into. Mondo Guerrero was the trainer for about 5 weeks, teaching us how to fall backwards and take a simple bump.
Yeah.
A bunch of bimbo girls traipsing through on auditions. 12 of us stuck to the wall or the mat, and we went to Vegas. We shot a pilot. Didn't know what we were doing. The show sold. It became Glow, and I was in the original cast of Glow.
Yep.
So I started out just being a kid, having an experience with her girlfriends in Vegas, making a TV show. Had no ideas of being a wrestler or being in the business. Didn't know anything about the business.
Mm-hmm.
But I did care about making this show that I belonged to something to look at, and we all worked our asses off to try to make it something without any help from any professional wrestlers at all.
Mm.
So Mondo just taught us the basics, didn't even work, spots with us or teach us about any psychology or anything. And he was just there in Los Angeles to weed out the athletes from the non-athletes, and that was that.
So I take it you don't consider Mondo your mentor?
Yes, I do, because without Mondo, I probably wouldn't have come back a second night. His passion for the business, for the business meaning being in the ring, his passion for taking it seriously, and his respect for wrestling kind of translated so well in his couple hours I spent with him the first night that it made me really take it seriously and be kind of amazed by it and intrigued by it. So that's what kept me coming back for more. So yes, I definitely, I blame all of this on Mondo.
There's been a lot of women's-only promotions out there. Most recently, WOW. Of course, you worked for POW as well, and Glow. Let's talk about the differences. And do you think first of all, do you think a women's promotion can work in the United States today?
Yeah, I don't know why it couldn't. I just think that maybe what it is that women need to run the show. I'm not sure that's the answer, but it seems to me that Red Shoe Diaries did pretty good doing a kind of, Showtime adult television with kind of soft porn stories meant for men to view, and those stories were a lot more intriguing and were done. They were written and produced and directed by women. So I'm wondering if women that are produced, directed, written for by men don't always come across as powerful and as interesting as they are able to be. So maybe I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm absolutely positive that women are a draw on the card, that women are awesome to look at, whether they're wrestling or whether they're valeting. Women have fantastic abilities with characters, being good, bad, and everything in between. They come in all shapes and sizes, and there are fabulous athletes out there that can really bring it in the ring, and we're not seeing enough of it.
Do you think that maybe the fact that they're viewed as such as sex symbols could hurt their ability to be taken seriously by men?
No, because I think that it's the men's short-sightedness with regards to women's sexiness that holds us back. Because we all know, and the WWE fans know, and any wrestling fans can say that and recognize how sexy Jazz is, and how awesome Linda Miles is, and how wonderful Luna is. They're sexy because they're all different shapes and sizes, and they have different appeals. There's, every kid doesn't want to ask the same girl to prom. So, there's something for everybody, and I think that's what makes a wrestling card something you want to go to, because you want to see, all shapes and sizes. You want to see cruiserweights, you want to see the heavyweights, you want to see the women wrestle, you want to see the pretty girls traipse around and get their hair pulled possibly, or run around the ring and with, the non-wrestlers being threatened by the wrestlers, whether they're announcers or what have you. It's all part of the show. So I just think that, there's kind of a short-sightedness when it comes to there's maybe one or two people deciding what's attractive as far as a female on, in a wrestling ring.
What do you think of the current state of the women's division in the WWE?
Well, there is no women's division, and it's a shame because we're kind of back to the days of sabledom. There's a belt, but there's no real competition behind it. And I don't know, I just feel like we should, respect the fans that respect our business.
Yeah.
And all of the other onlookers, the people that were fans of Tough Enough, that were maybe not SmackDown or Raw fans, but loved watching Maven and wanted to follow his career, that loved watching Nydia and learned all about her life and wanted to follow her career. So they entered into our world, Raw, SmackDown, because of these people and their hard work and what they went through. So they earned respect. So there's kind of there's a respect that a person like Chris Benoit gets big pops and standing ovations because people respect him because they know he respects the work he does. He wants to do it his best. He wants to really bring it for the fans. And it's a shame that we're not respecting that in our fans with the women that we put out in the ring nowadays.
It seems like a few months back there was actually a pretty good foundation. You had Molly Holly there. You had Trish Stratus. You had Victoria.
We had like 4 years, for about 4 years, 4 and a half, 4 years of a really strong women's division, which, should just continue to evolve and evolve and evolve. And it shouldn't just be swept under the carpet. I have high hopes because I'm a hopeful person that all those females will be back in the ring soon,
What do you think led to the departure of Molly Holly and Gail Kim and Nydia? All women that could work well.
I'm just as perplexed as the rest of the world on that. But I do think that as far as, the human beings are concerned, the women that are the superstars, that it's never a bad thing. Whatever comes is a catalyst. If you get laid off from WWE, it's a catalyst that brings you into bigger and better opportunities. And it might be that you come back to WWE after a couple years of being out on your own, and you're that much more improved in your skills, you're that much more developed as far as the fans are concerned, and it might be that you bounce right back into a better character and a stronger role. So, you know what I mean? It's not the end for anybody. So it's not meant to be looked at that way.
Right.
And also, too, every woman that is in the ring is young and, they have a lot going on in their lives. And it's, when you work for WWE, that's your family, that's your life. And it's a really great life because you see a lot. You do a lot. You're exposed to a lot of things that you wouldn't be exposed to if you just had a normal job. So it's wonderful, but it's all-consuming. So sometimes it's great, like in this case of Shawn Michaels. It was kind of a blessing that he had his injury and had to be taken out. And he retired because then, he had a family and has a healthy life now, and he's been able to come back, bring his magic to the ring and to the fans again, but it doesn't ruin his life at the same time. It's his job. He has a job that he loves, a profession he loves, and he goes home, and he's not Shawn Michaels. He's a dad and a husband. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a godsend that injury took him away at a time when if he would have just kept progressing, he might have turned out to be dead in the bed, somewhere, hotel.
We were actually just talking about Shawn Michaels before we got on the phone with you, and you mentioned that he brings something special to the ring. We were saying at Taboo Tuesday he wrestled with an injured knee and still had more ring psychology and had one of the best matches on the card.
Yeah.
What do you think that says about the current wrestlers in the WWE overall? If an injured person, a one-legged individual, can still have more psychology and almost a better match than, a lot of the roster.
Yeah, well, it's, I won't take anything away from any of the newer talent, and the roster certainly is. It's like we're on the brink of a brand new club at WWE Raw and SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wonderful in working with a lot of the talent in OVW. For 8 weeks, I got to know a lot of these people, and it's so wonderful to see them get their break. You know, it's wonderful because a lot of them have worked for years. You know, Nova, for one. I mean, he's been in and out of the big picture so many times. It's great to see him up in the big leagues and, you know, sharing his, his trade with the fans.
I agree with that completely.
So, but it's kind of like, you know, you just wish that our company would use the veterans to put them in angles, you know, at whether they are tag teams like Charlie Haas and Hardcore Holly. Awesome, because what better wing can Haas be under than Hardcore Holly?
Right.
You know, the fans love to see Hardcore Holly come out because then he's the real deal, just like Chris Benoit.
Mm. Yeah. I mean,
and so, you know, you take what's already over, and these guys, they know they've been doing this for 15, 20 years. They know this might be their last ride. I mean, why do you think JBL has he's just blossomed in being, you know, the wrestling god on SmackDown. He's blossomed from being the old APA. And it's kind of like, you know, we know, hey, this might be my last shot. This might be my last run. I'm going to give this damn thing everything I got. And that's what we should always do coming out of the curtain. So if you team the vets up with the young crowd, the young wrestlers, that's what you're going to get. And they're going to raise the bar for the younger people while they're teaching them, even while they're hammering their heads in the ring as opponents. They're still getting great lessons, you know. And the fans, of course, are going to get the kind of wrestling that you get from WWE promotions.
Well, we actually asked Al Snow this. While working on the Tough Enough 2, we saw Hardcore Holly act a little rough with one of the contestants, Matt Capitelli. Were you there while that was happening? What was going through your mind witnessing it firsthand?
I was thinking it's a great lesson for Matt because, you know, it's just like, you know, a mom can protect a kid, but, you know, one day they're going to go out in school and they're going to have to learn how to get along with people that of their own kind. So to me, it was like, you know, because Matt Capitelli, you know, he's one of those guys that is almost too nice to be in wrestling. You know, you worry about him because he's really well-adjusted, he's really well-balanced, he's a really great person. So you hope that people like that can survive in an entertainment field. And I'm not saying wrestling is any worse. It's probably better than the music industry, you know?
Yeah.
Probably kind of equally as tough as film and television.
Well, I have an interesting question for you.
It's tough, you know. You gotta watch out for yourself, and sometimes you can't trust everybody that you think is your friend. So I thought it was really great for because Hardcore Holly's totally a professional, and he'll tell you can hit me as hard as I hit you, as long as it's in the right place. So to me, you know, accidents do happen in the ring, and it's not about crying about it.
Right.
The only thing that Matt Capitelli was upset about was that he really honored the thing that we talk about, trusting your opponent, trusting your partners. You have to give yourself to your opponent, give yourself to the person in the ring. So he was doing that, and he felt like he was betrayed because he actually got, you know, slobber knockered. When in fact, it's not an on-purpose thing. What it is it's accidents happen, and you just got to roll with the punches. I mean, it's not going to be the last time that somebody smacks you in the head and you bleed, you know?
Right.
Your nose gets bent sideways. So to me, it was just kind of like an example for all the kids in Tough Enough to say, hey, you know, you should see the guy. You know, when Bradshaw came to Tough Enough that same season, I mean, every time these guys walk into the room, everybody's jaws drop because they can't believe how big they are. So, you know, I mean, it's just like, wake up and smell the coffee, people. This is what you're in for. You know, you guys that are all, you know, 150 pounds, you better start working out and eating every second of your life because this is the normal kind of guy at WWE.
There was
you know, no wimps allowed.
There's an interesting question here. You seem to be a proponent of, you know, teaching them that it's going to be tough. There's somebody who wrote on their message board, and I'm not sure if you could have a response to this. Her name is Bobby Billiard, and she wrote some crazy story on her website saying that you chased her around telling her that she'd never make it and all this crap. Do you have any response to that? Or do you even know who she is?
Not really, because it doesn't warrant any of my attention or time. It's, you know, if every single person that approached me through all the years of Tough Enough, all the seasons that I was involved, plus all the people that just watch our show, if every young person that came up to me and said, I could beat Maven in Tough Enough, you know. I could beat, you know, Johnny Nitro in Tough Enough. Oh, that guy's lame. He's a pussy.
Uh-huh.
I tell you what, if they all wrote to you about the responses I give them, it's just, well, if you think so, how come we didn't see your tape?
Good point.
You know, it's so, you know how it is. On the internet, it's so easy to rank on everybody else that's in the business and does something about it.
Yes.
People
Absolutely.
that, you know, travel around and they give their backs and necks to the fans, you know, 4 days a week, and it used to be more. It used to be 10 days at a time and 2 days off and 10 days on and 2 days off. And before that, it was even like 2 weeks on and a day off and 2 weeks on. So these people, you know, they give a lot, and it's really easy to sit back and see it looks really easy, and that, oh, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. Well, you know, what have you done lately to even go down to your local wrestling school and say, hey, can I come down to your next show and set up chairs for you?
Yeah.
Hey, can I help you guys sweep the mat? Hey, can I help you guys load that into the truck?
You know what?
Hey,
there's a phrase
can
my
I
uncle
come
has.
down and maybe watch you guys take bumps? So, you know, for me to say that to somebody, they might want to write to the internet and say, oh, she says it's, you know, I would never make it. But, you know, proof's in the pudding. Where's Bobby now?
Absolutely. I don't even know what she's doing. But there's a phrase that my uncle had, and I use it all the time. And the phrase is, those who do the least complain the most.
Right. And, you know, I'm guilty, too, of, like, you know, and I think we all are as a roster, and maybe that's part of the magic of what makes all of us still work for WWE and put our best out, is that we all have these long car rides about, like, why isn't our company doing this? Why are they doing that? Why? And we all get all hyped up and aggravated and aggroed out, and then we just sit there and go, well, whatever. It is what it is. And, you know, and days go, and, you know, months go, and years go, and so there's, you know, it's easy to say and rep, you know, a match where something went soft, or, you know, someone's storyline that was going strong and then just got dumped, you know, and there's always stuff to complain about, and Lord knows I do a lot of that. But I also, every time something is redeeming on our show, I mean, I want to write to Vince and Kevin Dunn. I want to write to everybody and say, oh, this is why I love working for this company. Oh, my God. Like, for example, remember the SmackDown holiday tour to Iraq?
Yes.
And they did the big special and the show there. I mean, you know, I've been over once before Bradshaw and Farouk and Terry Reynolds just visiting.
Right.
And I'm telling you what, our company did such an awesome job with that it made me so proud. It made me forget every, you know, flop match. It made me forget every time, I don't know, you know, something really crappy happens on our show. It made me just really enjoy WWE. It made me proud to work for them.
Were you over there Were you over there last year?
I went over just to visit camps. We visited 2 camps a day. We were there for, you know, 3 or 4 days, 3 days of visiting, and it was a wonderful experience. We just met so many neat guys and girls, and it made me really pro-military. It made me, of the 11 nieces and nephews I have, you know, I definitely talk to them about the services, and it's an option, you know, because it really makes great men and women out of these people.
Yes.
Called Americans. So I was really impressed by the whole thing, and definitely support the troops after what I saw over there. They're up against a lot, and nobody complains. They all have their chins up. They're really decent people.
Well, obviously they keep you around now. You do experience. Is there any chance we'd ever see you, first of all, return to the ring?
Well, you can, once I get my website going again and get more active with that, I love talking about everybody else, but I hate promoting myself, so that's why I have such a hard time with my website. But I do independent gigs, and the company said that, you know, like Al and I, Jerry Lawler, we can all go do that stuff as kind of announcer people, you know?
Right.
And I really enjoy being part of the family entertainment aspect of the indies. I have not had a bad experience yet. It's awesome. Kids. You know, if I'm in the ring and I'm the last guy standing, I invite all the kids to come in. They mop the ring, and it's like old days, you know.
Right.
There's no part of the show that I have to be kind of embarrassed about or feel slighted about because I'm a girl in the show. Nothing's embarrassing, and usually they're for good causes, like someone's sick or a community member died, and you know, and we're raising money for somebody always. So I meet great people. I love seeing all ages in the stands, and I love the intimacy of it. I love meeting all the other workers and hearing their stories and watching them work. So it's just a great experience.
Was there ever a time?
I wrestle with that, and so far they haven't had to wheel me out and give me oxygen yet. But every time I wrestle, I'm super winded. That's the scariest part, is knowing that you're going in the ring and you haven't been in there like every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's tough.
Was there ever a time in the WWE that you actually were embarrassed by anything that was going on the show?
Yeah. I'm embarrassed by the Diva Search stuff, because I just feel like, again, we're not letting the women show how great they are. Because even though these are model girls, they're from, other kinds of entertainment where they're models, they do, print work, they do commercial work. They're still smart, entertaining, neat people. And I don't think that the type of contest that we have them participate in on the air really gives the fans much to vote on. We don't see anything about how hard they want something, how hard they want to work for something. We really don't learn anything about their character or how much fun they are, or how adventurous they are, the kinds of things, how well they can speak in front of people, the kinds of things we're looking for a diva, for any kind of employee at WWE. We don't really give them the chance to show that off.
How do you think Christy Hemme has been utilized since her research?
I wish actually that I knew all the girls in the locker room better, but I only see them on pay-per-views. And pay-per-views were all, I'm busy right away in the beginning when we kind of have time to talk and stuff, because I'm doing Sunday Night Heat with Todd. But I wish I had road time with these girls so I could kind of get to know who they are. And that's, something I regret, that I don't know them better. But I think from what I've seen, Christy Hemme has the fire to, learn how to wrestle, and if she wants to, and she's certainly working her butt off. I think I'm hearing that she doesn't have a day off, that they're sending her here, there, and everywhere to do photo shoots and house shows, and she's always busy at TV. But again, that's what you want to be in the show. You want to be busy.
Well, the reason why
the only time I was super busy was right to censor, and I loved going to work. I loved it because you go there, you get dressed really fast. That 11-hour TV day goes by like nothing. It's awesome.
Do you think they pulled the plug on the right to censor a little bit soon?
Yeah, well, that was one of those things that you rant and rave about in the car rides, because it's just our writer left because he was sick of the politics. Great writer, and he was the father of Right to Censor, so no other writer wanted to write for it, so it just went bye-bye, just like that.
It seems kind of...
And again, to me, it's like, don't we owe something to the fans that we were like the most over heels? And there's so much you could do with these uptight Right to Censor people. Look where we came from. Val Venus, the big Balboski, Godfather. Come on. Look at Stevie Richards, Ivory. There's so much you can do with these people in the evolution from who they were before Right to Censor and then where they go after that.
Right.
Yet it's just dropped.
And I
think that's the frustration I have, because our fans are really smart, and they're loyal, and they're into it for years. How many people do you know where, they come up to me every day, I've been watching wrestling since I was, for 20 years I've been watching wrestling. And I always think, God bless you. We need people like you. Thank you. Because I know we put you through a lot. We bring you great entertainment, but we pull your chain sometimes, and I appreciate you keep watching. Bear with us,
Was there any part of your Right to Censor character that actually kind of reflected your personal views, or was that just completely you being out of character?
It was interesting because I had an acting coach once that said, he said that we all have a little serial killer in us. We all have, those things that you think you could never be. Everybody's got the ability. It's in there somewhere. So, my motto used to be, because we got no direction ever, now we have a little bit more focus on writers, and Stephanie is kind of a good producer, and there's a little bit more TV aspect to our show now than there was 5 years ago. But back when I first started, it was just Vince Russo saying, okay, be a bitch. That was it. And that was before Right to Censor. That was before you even had an outfit that said you're a bitch, It was just be a bitch. So with Right to Censor, boom, the minute you put that outfit on, it was like, okay, here she comes. And it really was like letting someone out of the trunk. It was like Medusa's box. I mean, it was like that Pandora's box where this creature comes out.
Right.
So, and it was, it was easy to, talk like the real straight-up conservative talk about Playboy and stuff, because I really do believe that it's a no-win situation for any female to do Playboy. I just think that's it's a fantastical marketing scam that guys figured out,
Right.
Hey, let's make it sound really glamorous to be in Playboy so we can fill our magazine every month with naked ladies. And we can make a lot of money selling naked lady magazines because there's certainly a demand for it. And all we got to do is make it sound like some kind of contest that you won when we invite you to be in it. And then you don't have to go looking for naked ladies because they send their pictures to you. When, in fact, tell me one girl that's actually ever gotten anything other than a paycheck out of Playboy. Really. Come on. Pictures last forever. And there's a lot more projects that pass you by because they can't use you because you're tagged into that kind of a market.
Yes.
So it's like a little brand that they fry onto your ass, and you have to carry it with you throughout your whole life. It's like a tattoo. You know what I mean? So I don't see where the big benefit is to that. I'd rather work a few extra hours and, maybe not have that extra dough and just not buy an extra, big TV screen or something from the house.
Right.
Than have that brand on my ass for the rest of my life.
Excellent.
So it's kind of a silly thing. So that was easy to talk about, when China did all her stuff.
Right.
It was easy to talk about the Playboy thing because that's kind of how I really feel about it.
Yeah. I mean, I
really respect Trish Stratus because she's awesome and hot and, certainly turns a lot of people on.
Uh-huh.
Very popular for her good looks. And she is, adamant that she'll never do skin magazines,
She's
Right.
a great worker.
She's put a lot of work into becoming a wrestler. So.
Oh, yes. She went from being a model into a wrestler, which is shocking. And she's
I
actually.
think Chrissy Hemme has the same abilities because they're a lot alike. They were brought on because they're pretty and they're spunky. And I think Chrissy Hemme has the same, abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see if she has the same drive. Because Trish really wanted to be a wrestler. She wanted to be taken seriously as a worker.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know Christy well enough to know if that's her aim or not,
Do you know if do you think her Playboy spread will end up hurting her, Christie's?
I think they all do.
Yeah.
It might not hurt her WWE career, but I don't see where you win with that. I just don't.
We did an interview with Candice Michelle, and beforehand she was very nervous about doing the interview because she had done some things in her past. And I guess what I'm going to go with here is I'm going to take this into the Diva Search direction where we talked about how these people are not wrestlers, they're not really entertainers, and the contests that they do really don't have an opportunity to do that. My idea would be that it should be a contest between women that have actually worked a match on the indie scene and let somebody that works hard get up there. Like combine the Diva Search, kind of beauty contest with Tough Enough a little bit.
Well, what I feel like too is, and I've always preached this, is maybe I'm just a big wimp because I don't preach it to any of my bosses because I still want to have my job. But I just always wonder why, you can't. I mean, Oprah Winfrey herself says that, she does her own cover for her own magazine every month. And she says right on her own television show, it takes an army to make me look that good for that cover shoot. And you know what? We don't have an army. We don't sometimes even have hair and makeup. So to me, it's like, hello, why not save the women that can do what we do on our show?
Yeah.
And you can make anybody look good.
Yeah.
Isn't it harder to take someone who looks like, okay, so-called quote-unquote good, like the Diva Search girls, and make them into athletes and wrestlers? Come on, women wrestlers don't grow on trees.
Right.
It's hard to learn how to wrestle and be good at it and be athletic enough and the kind of mentality that wants to do it.
Right.
You can find lots of really hardcore bodybuilders that they don't want to feel that pain. They don't want to do it. You can find lots of track stars and dancers and super athletes that they don't want to fall down.
Right.
So when you find a few girls that want to do it and they're not, and even if they are bigger girls, big bone girls or whatever, then you can make why not have a slew of characters? You have your little blondes, your really cutesy cutes, and you have your really interesting, gnarly mean ones. But in a magazine shoot, you can make if you make Oprah Winfrey look hot, you can make anyone look hot.
That's a fair point.
So how about a little effort on production versus fire them all, and let's swim upstream to cover up, and so to not expose the fact that these girls don't know how to wrestle.
Yeah.
I don't get it. That's another thing I don't get it. It seems like you're making life a lot harder than it needs to be.
Well, there's a lot of girls on the roster now, and I'm not trying to bury anybody because obviously I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but a lot of them just don't seem to really offer anything to the program. I mean, some of them can't do even the little tasks that they get to do on the show. They can't even do that properly. I mean, I'm trying to wonder, whatever happened to, we mentioned a lot of them. Why is Victoria not at the WrestleMania main event? Because at least she and Trish would have a fair match.
They had great chemistry, didn't they? Oh, my God.
I mean, they'd have a fair match.
And, I mean, Trish was so lucky because she had so many awesome angles, and she had, she's politically smart as well as a hard worker. So, I mean, come on. Trish could make anything happen for Trish's career. She's very enterprising, and she's just really good in the business because she makes things happen. I don't even want to know how, but she knows how to make things work. She speaks up, and she sees it through, and she has lots of ideas. So, I mean, but man, the chemistry that her and Jazz had, and her and Victoria had, I mean, her and Molly had, they were always great.
Right.
And even her and Lita, teaming up or being against each other. I mean, so it's like, why not just keep that going and just keep retelling those same stories, just like Hollywood does, with different faces, different good guys, different bad guys, just like the guys do.
Right.
And there should never be a joke behind the women's gold, because all the gold should be important.
Right.
And there should never be a title match for the women's gold or the men's gold in a swimming pool or involving mud or, evening gowns or bikinis. It just shouldn't be done.
Right.
You can certainly participate in those kinds of matches as a champ, but the gold should never hinge on that. Ever, I don't think. It's just like, come on, let's make it something matter. Let's make it matter.
Well, we're talking about how these women are breaking into the business and what they have to offer. How did you feel, how was your reaction, I should say, to being brought on TV as a gift from D'Lo Brown to Mark Henry back in the day?
Quite frankly, I was so, out of it as far as, because I wasn't someone that sat home and watched wrestling. As, a California girl trying to pay my rent in Hollywood that was too high. So I was one of those people working 3 jobs, and, by the end of the year I had 10 W-2 forms, and you know what I mean?
Right.
Like working like crazy to just survive. And, when JR, I had a one-night gig in Phoenix as a Godfather Ho.
Oh, really?
And, I was Miss Hollywood. I was doing just piece your calendar together with a gig here, a little audition there. I was working Universal Studios at the stunt shows, so if I got a shift, it was all exciting. And I did makeup artistry for Revlon, and I was a trainer for them, a national trainer, so I had schools I had to teach. So I had, all these little aspects of me that helped pay the rent, so I basically was Miss Freelancer. So, Howard Brody, actually, a guy from Florida who had helped get a girls program off the ground. He was a good friend of Luna's. I did a pilot for him ages ago. He gave my number to, Cornette, and Cornette called me in California to do this gig. We need a girl who can work, looks good in a dress. Your name came up. Can you be there? I said, yeah, sure, as long as you can fly me to San Francisco that night, because I got to teach a Revlon school the next morning. Yeah, sure, okay. So that, night, it turned into a 3-year contract.
Wow.
That same week when I was in San Francisco teaching my Revlon school, I was at lunch break taking calls from, Jim Ross and setting the deal up.
Wow. That's excellent.
So, when I was delivered as, the eye candy for Mark Henry, I was just really impressed with, I'll tell you what, I felt like coming home. When I did the gig in Phoenix, I was backstage, and thank God Luna was there to embrace me, and she's like, oh, no, it's so good to see you again. I felt like I was back home.
Yeah.
And I was looking around thinking, wow, wrestling's really changed, man. It's a big production now. Look at all the tables. I was just like a kid in a candy store. So I was like just, it was awesome to be back in boots. And then I saw you know, that Sable was like the big queen bee, and you know, she was Playboy, and she was voluptuous and blonde, and her boobs were hanging out, and I thought, oh, God, I don't want to do that. I hope they put me in boots. I hope they don't just, like, want me to prance around, because that's not what I want to do. And, you know, sure enough, like that first week I was hired, boom, go get yourself some boots, hurry up. And then you're talking 10 years of rest, you know, ring rest, and it's like, oh, Lord. So if the ball moves so fast when you're in WWE, and I think you've heard this from other younger superstars that come in, that you don't really have time to, like, get with the program. You don't really know. You're just trying to survive on travel and how it all works there, and, you know, kind of just being professional and making friends and not trying to be a hindrance to anyone. I used to never ask any of the guys for directions or anything because I felt like, oh, you know, I want to bother them, and, you know, everyone should be responsible for getting themselves to a gig. And so, you know, I knew how to travel enough from the Revlon stuff, so I was always on my own, you know?
Yeah. Well, this might...
felt like that's what you do as a wrestler. You just do it yourself, you know, and you work with whoever you're working with in the ring and your agent. And the thing is, you don't say no. So when Terry Taylor said, okay, PMS, Terry Reynolds, she's going to come interrupt your match. She's going to be commentating. She's going to come in with her cigar. She's going to put her cigar out in your face. And I'm like, okay, I have a question. How do we face that? I'll do it, but how do we fake it? Exactly. He goes, good question. We'll work on that. We'll get back to you. But this is that I really, truly did get burned by the cigar.
Wow.
I was wearing my scarf and, you know, Sunday on TV. But, you know, so it's just kind of this ball that was rolling. Never even questioned. Like, my feeling was just with the little direction we had, every time I go out the curtain, I'm going to surprise my bosses. I'm just going to give them something they don't normally see.
Yeah.
And that is just, you know, going over the top and being as crazy and nutty as you feel like being. And I do wish I had a little more direction, because maybe I could have channeled that energy a little better.
Right.
But it sure was fun. It was like jumping off a cliff. So it was really fun.
Well, you've had a long, illustrious career, so you must have done something right.
I wish I would have, you know, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't take any of it back at all, because it's, you know, all the right things always happen. But I tend to still sit back and be real jealous of someone like Trish that, you know, has the angles and the storylines and the packages and the, you know, she's calling the writers on their phone and, you know, just all that kind of stuff. You think, like, maybe I should have worked it better.
Well,
when actually I was just like, hey, I'm talent. Tell me what to do. I'll do it better than you thought I could. But
see, even that makes your character so much stronger, because without that direction, you still managed to get over.
Well, and that's what I always say. I always look for superstars that don't need a big storyline, and they don't need, you know, the big commercials, and they still you know, who does that for me is somebody, and there's many of them, but someone, for example, like Christian. Christian always entertains me.
We are
good, whether he's bad, Captain Charisma.
We are proud members of the Christian Coalition on this show.
I'm so glad. You're his population.
Yep.
But he's an example of someone who, you know, he's not middle card. He's like upper middle card. He's like a hurricane, you know, where they're substanceful, they're entertaining, they don't really, you know, they can niche and push and add to their characters a little bit, but they've got something sound and solid, and all walks of life can enjoy them. You can be a kid and a teenager, a mom, a dad, a girl, a man, you know, and you're going to get something out of those characters. And they have this kind of honesty to their performances that is like Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though it's kind of a sliver of it compared to what Stone Cold brings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to put those guys down. Stone Cold is like the most honest performer I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's him.
Where you know, that's what you get. I mean, that's the real deal. That's the guy. And he doesn't have to practice in the back all of his promos, and, you know, he's going to get his point across Stone Cold Steve Austin way.
Right. And you get the feeling that Christian's kind of in that same mold. That's kind of how he really is. You could talk to him in the back, and he'd say the same things then that he does when he's out in the ring.
Yeah, he's kind of like this, you know, way super cool geek. You know what I mean? And his work is, like, so awesome. I love his work. That guy makes everybody look way better than they are. He's got to be one of the most fun guys to work with.
Maybe that's why Chuck and I like him so much, because we're both kind of like funny geeks. So.
Yeah, some degree, I guess that's true.
Well, I think it's good, you know. Those little cool geeks get a lot of girls.
You can't be on radio and not be kind of a geek in some level.
There you go.
That's just the way
Well,
it is.
I have aspirations to do radio someday. I think it's, every time I've been in a radio studio, it's like, man, you guys have a fun job.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
You
there's
know,
something better.
you know-
You sit there, you talk to people, and you get paid to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to brush your hair if you don't want to. I mean, it's like, you can be just as charming and wonderful, and you don't have to brush your teeth if you don't want to.
I don't recommend that, but you can do it, yeah. It's an option.
Right. You can blow your partner away in the studio. Oh, copy, Brad.
For some reason, I'm having a flashback to a gingivitis commercial. I don't know why. Question for you here. Why, this is going to sound really weird because we just kind of got veered off topic, but why did you, quote-unquote, leave home to begin with? Why did you leave wrestling and then, you know, for all those years?
Because I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money by working in supermarkets and teaching endless hours of tennis. To go to college, to get a degree from the University of Southern California, and, you know, spent 10 years paying off my student loans. And what do you know? First summer out of college, I'm doing a wrestling TV show, which is an adventure, and it's fun, and you don't really think this is going to be your livelihood. It's just this fun gig you're doing. You know, it's a gig. So you do that because you don't want to go get a real job, and then pretty soon it's like you're involved. You go do 9 months of television in Las Vegas. It turns out to be 2 seasons of TV that actually people are watching. So now every time you walk out your front door, people know who you are.
Yeah.
And you're experiencing that, and you're like, it's not like a, hey, yeah, I'm Tina Ferrari. Oh, good. Yeah, let me sign that little paper for you, kid. First of all, you're a kid yourself. You had no idea of becoming famous or doing television. And you still have in the back of your brain, you know, okay, I'm supposed to go get a real job now, right? I'm a college grad.
Yeah.
So I was really torn between, you know, okay, how do I make money? Because of course, before we made no money. We were like those Power Rangers of the mid '80s. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We were the Power Rangers. Those kids, everybody knew, but we didn't make a dime. And if we said anything about it, we'd be fired. You know. So anyway, I was famous without being rich, and I vowed never to do that again.
What's your degree
then
in?
I just became, you know, like the gig queen. It was like, okay, shouldn't I be doing commercials or something? And so you're trying to make sense of why everybody knows who you are, and you're trying to make the smart move. But, you know, the Hollywood scene is just really tough, and you got to really kiss a lot of butt. You got to go bring coffee mugs full of candy to some fat agent that you don't really even care about.
Right.
Just to visit, and then every time you would do that, you get a few auditions that week. But if you don't go bring, you know, the Starbucks card or whatever the hell it was back then you don't get the gigs. I just felt like, let's do business here, man. You know, someone can make you money. So get me the gig. I'll show up. I'll book it. You know, let's do it. Let's not waste time kissing ass.
Yeah.
So I just wasn't very good at that consistent, you know, gift giving and all that mindless, you know, that kind of junk. I hated it. It's like, let's just get to work.
Yeah.
So I fell out. I just decided, you know, after doing POW, and we signed a little decent contract. It was, you know, something to laugh about now. Put it this way, it's less than the new guys out of OVW are making.
Wow.
So nobody could live on it, but it was still my contract, and they even didn't pay me that.
Wow.
So when POW people called me back to shoot the second season, I just said, you know, I don't mean to burn any bridges, but if you guys can't pay me what's due on my contract, then why would I come back and shoot with you, you know? So they didn't, and I never got my money, and I just took little gigs here and there and did my makeup artistry and drove a limo in San Diego and all these odd jobs. And I just kind of didn't go back into wrestling because there wasn't anything going on for women.
Right.
Well,
So, you know, then the call came, and I remember I worked for Herb Abrams. Remember him?
Yep, I do.
And I worked in Las Vegas, the MGM.
He passed away, didn't he?
Cactus Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
Herb Abrams died all drugged up in his office in one of his bright-colored suits. But, you know,
Wow.
those were the kind of weirdos that we used to get phone calls from. And, you know, you kind of just, okay, I haven't wrestled for 4 years, but, yeah, I'll go work Candy Divine. And, you know, she probably would have had a few by then. You know, it smelled like booze in the ring.
Oh, boy.
She's twice the height of me, so I was in good hands all the time. But, I met Cactus Jack back then, and so, I got exposed to these really neat adventures, even though I wasn't a super big wrestling fan,
Yeah.
It was just kind of these really wild, neat gigs, and I got thrown into them, so it was just kind of a challenge.
Well,
so it's funny how things work out, huh?
Yeah.
It is. Speaking of matches, you in 1999 had a match at Unforgiven with Luna Vachon, and it was, as far as I can recall, the first hardcore women's match that we've ever seen at that point in time.
Well, the very first one was with Tori Pock. Remember Tori, the other Tori?
I do remember her, yes.
And that we did, it was actually her idea, and she really pushed hard for it. And she had been around maybe, a year or something before me.
Mm-hmm.
So she was there, and she really pushed for this idea, and they gave it to us, and me and her got to do it. And it was pay-per-view, and so that was the first one with Tori. And remember, we started in the locker room.
Right.
We threw tampons, and we shoved Ivory soap down her mouth, and we went all over the building.
Yeah, now
and it cracked a mirror over her head, which actually cut her gum because a piece jagged up into her mouth. And Terry Reynolds had to fish it out with her little pink tweezers in the locker room. So we gave Terry Reynolds a little trophy for that. She did surgery. Anyway, and that was really cool because Vince McMahon actually, and here we were both still pretty new at it, and Vince McMahon gave us a bonus that night.
Wow.
Dave Hatno came over and handed us a little envelope and said, "Good going, girls. Mr. McMahon gave you a bonus." And we're like, oh, so of course you don't even know what kind of I haven't got a bonus since, okay, but I'm still around. But, at the time you don't really know what that means, that they're all acting like it's kind of special.
Yeah.
And of course you don't tell anybody, You guys are the first people I told.
Well,
so that was pretty cool. But then we had other hardcore matches with Luna, and Tori popped out of the trunk.
Right.
And then Jackie was involved.
Yeah.
Somebody answer that damn phone.
I got in trouble for saying something very similar to that on the radio the other day. I think it was somebody...
Damn word?
No, it was another word, too. Another adjective. I wish somebody would close that blank door. I said on the...
The effing?
Yeah, but I...
Oh,
luckily...
What are you thinking?
Luckily, I said it so low that the microphone didn't register, but it was close. It was very close.
I told Vince one time, he's sitting in the makeup chair just getting a few things done, and I said, isn't it wonderful that we can stand around this job, that we can stand around with our bosses and say the F word as many times as you want, and it's no big deal. And it's so true. That's good. You turn into a truck driver. My God, it's the adjective that you use, that and gimmick.
Uh-huh.
The effing gimmick,
Right.
But then, of course, you got to change it up when you get out into the real world.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to learn how to do.
I love the hardcore matches. They were really, you could just you would walk around the building and you'd go, oh, okay, we can use that for that, and oh, that's going to be fun to jump from, and I love that. I love smashing candy dishes over people's heads, and I even love getting them smashed over my head. It was fun. I loved it. Because the thing, too, about women that I saw early on is that, and I think Fit Finley and Trish and the girls that came in that were really so good, finally started to master women's wrestling in that gigantic 20-foot ring. Just wrestle like the men. We're so little, it takes us 9 minutes to get across the ring.
Right.
And there's certain things you got to tweak about the way we move and the way we do things, and the reason we do things to each other, because we're girls.
Right.
So I recognized that early, right when I got there, it was like, ew, this just doesn't look good on us, And
Right.
then the girls were bigger, taller, like Tori, our old Tori, and China. They looked good in the ring because of their height.
Right.
So, but most of us were like me and Jackie, and, we're little people. So I didn't know the answer to that. I didn't know what the art should be, but I knew it needed to be tweaked and different to make girls showcased in a more, energized-looking way. We just looked slow and little in the ring,
Yeah.
Well, I think we do.
So the hardcore matches I liked because we were not to scale to the ring. We were taken out of the ring doing our action in an environment where you couldn't tell how little we were. And that's what I liked about the way the hardcore matches looked.
Unfortunately, I think James and I have a firm grasp on that, as we're both not particularly the tallest people in the world, so I think we may have similar issues if we were ever to get in the ring ourselves.
If you were to run and hit the ropes, then you'd have to, it would...
It would probably break my neck.
Yeah, it hits you like you're leaning into the rope, and it still hits you on the upper butt. Where like Godfather, Undertaker, they can literally stop, in the middle of the ring and hit the ropes. Rey Mysterio, he leans into the ring, but he hits the middle rope with his back. So it's, you know what I mean? It's a little, you gotta work with what you got, and it's different for the girls.
Yeah.
Remember when, like, Jeff Hardy would go springing off of the ropes?
Yeah.
I mean, the ropes wouldn't even bend. He's so light that they wouldn't really slingshot him. He would just, he'd like, it was like hitting a brick wall, those cable ropes. You know?
Absolutely.
Whereas, like, Stone Cold, he could literally, I love the way he uses the ropes, because it looks like he's using the ring as part of his ammunition. It's like, okay, mother, here I come, and I'm going to use these ropes to give me extra momentum to smash into you.
Right.
He'd always hit the ropes with that much purpose, and it always made me feel like, oh, smart move. Wow, he's using his environment to beat that guy's ass.
Yeah. The only ring I've ever been in actually had actual ropes. They were actually made of rope. And you don't get no spring out of that.
No, oh God. Well, we learned when we were in the boxing, the Watts boxing gym with Mondo.
Uh-huh.
And there was this big black guy outside with a gun that would make sure all the girls got into the gym and out to their cars. It was a real bad neighborhood in L.A.
Wow.
And we were, there was the spittoon, and it was a boxing ring, so it was just hard as a rock. No spring, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we were learning to take bumps on. And in Glow, as we got the MO just like Tough Enough kids do, TV wrestlers, which I always admitted, we were Milli Vanilli wrestlers. We were totally faking it because we didn't have any teachers. We watched tapes, and we'd go figure it out. That's how we learned how to wrestle. So we worked our little butts off to try to put on a good show. And the neat thing was that it was our show. There wasn't any one person that was taking up 3/4 of the TV time. It was just a variety show, match, 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 match. And you get, 4 or 6 matches, and the show's over.
I can't.
Skits, and that's it,
Yeah. I can't honestly think of anybody that takes up 3/4 of the show. Can you, Chuck?
Can I what?
Can you think of anybody that takes up 3/4 of a show?
I can think of one person in particular.
Yeah. So can I now.
You know it.
Yeah, but better be careful.
I'm not going to say anything about it. Let's just say that I sometimes think promos and wrestling need to just kind of flow a little faster, have a direct purpose, and that'll be the end of it. And that would be far more effective. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. That's how the game of wrestling works.
That's right.
Yes.
That is a fact. Why don't we switch
You can
gears?
say that again and maybe a third time. Okay.
Why don't we switch gears a little bit? For the WWE, you've got to do a lot of interesting things, doing some commentary and some public relations. You actually got to go and cover the Republican and Democratic national conventions. Did the parties and candidates actually treat the members of the WWE as kind of like a valued demographic that they were trying to reach out, or did they kind of take it as not as serious as other media outlets?
Did you say the Canadians?
No, the Republican Democratic conventions that you covered.
Oh, like did they receive us in a kind of respectful way? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Give me a break. The really neat thing about everywhere you go with WWE, especially when you're in New York. I mean, you could be doing anything in New York, and you've got friends everywhere. And I'll tell you what, there were so many special things about being invited on to participate in the RNC and the DNC. One, I started the whole escapade by saying to all of my coworkers and the administrators of WWE, geez Louise, if you can make a politic-happy person out of me, or someone that's even slightly interested, well, then you've really done something, because I hate it. Because, I've grown up in the world of the Nixons and the media interrupting the real message, and, it's all this stuff that you feel like you just can't trust our politicians and our government, and they're messing up all the time. It's all you hear about, right?
Right.
So, and it's really cool because I just can't stress enough for people if they feel the same way about anything, even something in their community like their church or some kind of YMCA or anything, just go get involved in it. Go spend half a day down there, and you'll learn so much more than by reading about it or listening about it. So when I was there, the best way to learn about something is through the people who are passionate about it. So I guess that's why you guys it's wonderful to be on your show because, we talk about what we like and other people tune in and basically they like what we're talking about and we all learn from each other, you know?
Yeah.
So it was so fun to go to the Democratic National Convention in Boston and listen to I listened to so many people tell me about their run-ins with Bill Clinton.
Uh-huh.
And it was just exactly like listening to someone tell me all about how they met Undertaker one time. And this is what he said to me, and this is what he had on, and this is how he shook my hand, and he had one piece of hair over his left brow, and they talked about Bill Clinton exactly like a fan would talk about their favorite superstar and their meeting and, crossing paths with them. And I thought to myself, wow, this is what it is. It's just about being enthusiastic about something. Yeah. And then you start rooting for the people that you're enthusiastic about in that, realm.
Yeah.
So whether it's politics or football or basketball or wrestling, it's just great that people get involved in something that they're passionate about.
Right.
And that's why I will never call a wrestling fan a mark. Because the people that are enthusiastic about something, and they go out and they get sweaty, yelling and screaming and, chanting and singing the songs and yelling for the finishing move, those people are so much more alive than the dimwits that sit home and learn how to live life through reality TV shows.
Right.
Get up and get out and go to a live event. And even for the people that watch our show, get up, get out, go to a live event when they come to your town and go experience it because, if you're into it enough to watch it on TV, you got to go live the experience. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You've been to live events. I mean, it's fun.
We actually have one coming up in Phoenix that we got invited to, courtesy of the WWE. So we'll be there,
awesome.
7th row, doing our thing, chilling out.
And actually,
it's fun too when you look around and you listen to. I love watching. Sometimes the superstars will sneak up and opposite, like right under that hard camera, and we'll kind of sit up there and watch. Because it's really good instruction for us to watch the show from the audience's view.
Yeah.
Because you learn a lot. You have to see it from all views, from the monitor, live. You really got to get with the people, and you see what a performance really is, and what moves look great, and how the smallest little thing says so much about who you are in the ring.
Well, I'll tell you what.
And what the fans say, it's just so fun to listen to everyone's comments.
Well, if you're going to be there Monday, you can come sit with us, and we'll watch it from an audience's point of view together, okay?
Yeah, we'll say whatever comes to our minds. Because when you're a fan, you're free to do it, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. I only use the term mark when I'm watching the show, and the audience is too nitpicky. For example, say Rob Van Dam's going to do a spot off the ropes and he slips. I get so irritated when I hear that "you effed up" chant.
Yeah, I know it.
Right.
Because really, you know what? I love something me and Fit Finley agree on all the time. And I love watching wrestling with Fit Finley's oldest kid, David, who's just a little boy still. But he's so, right on about wrestling. I love it when things look ugly. I don't like when every lockup is clean, every takedown is clean, everything looks like chain wrestling move, reversal, I love it. Like when Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle would get down on the mat. Remember them go at it?
Oh, yeah. Great matches.
And it's like watching UFC, how when, everyone's looking for an ankle, a wrist, a this, a that, something to turn into an offensive move.
Yeah.
But there's so much good smarts and defense that they can't get their hands on it. And the Guerreros are great at that. And, there's certain people that can go feel their partner and, they're really wrestling. They're really competing and feeling each other out. And the fans, that's why they applaud those guys, because they know they're real. So when, if you're in a real fight, you're not going to always hop up successfully and land on somebody.
Right.
You're going to miss. You're going to hit your own head. You're going to, and quite frankly, that's why a lot of times we watch, because we want to see a car wreck. We can't wait to see the odd nights that something weird happens.
I think that's why NASCAR is so popular, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people are doing scary, thrilling things, and you're just waiting for that time when somebody, you know, unfortunately has a mishap, or like with Kurt Angle and Triple H when the announcer table broke before they went through it.
Right.
Remember? And how Looney Birdie, like, obviously Kurt Angle is, like, messed up, and you could see it, you know, and you're like, whoa, how's he going on?
Or another good example of that was Brock Lesnar and his shooting star press.
I know. Ooh.
I was
That was that story.
I'm like, he broke his neck. I'm like, stop the
Yeah, I
match.
mean, people don't stand
I thought
that way.
There's only been a couple times in wrestling when I thought people were actually dead in the ring. That was Brock Lesnar when he did that, and Lita about a year ago on Raw, when she did that thing and her head went backwards, and that looked sick.
Well, you mean the one where she just dove out onto Trish?
Yeah, and she pretty much missed her, and her head bent backwards, and her body kept going.
And then Charlie Haas just did that on SmackDown like last week.
Did he?
I don't know if I'm sure they have it in the show. I see an unedited version, you know, because I have to watch it Wednesday night, so they rushed me a copy.
Cool.
You know, because it's done Tuesday, and I have to talk about it on Thursday like it's Sunday.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have to watch it. I always want to watch what I'm talking about. So, but he did the same thing. It was like, he dove out onto Matt Morgan.
Uh-huh.
Matt Morgan, I guess, didn't have time or didn't respond quick enough, but he should have moved in because he was too far away. Charlie, of course, the head comes bombing down. You know what I mean? You're looking up to try to pull your body up, and you just, boom, he went head first, just like Lita. Ooh. And he
I thought she was
up afterwards, and he continued the match. So I just hope. I think the adrenaline though kicks in. You don't feel it till after.
Yeah.
On those things.
I'm sure he felt it the next day.
So he had to have had a big time stinger.
Oh yeah.
So, woof.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever suffered an injury like that?
No, I've been jacked up pretty bad because Jackie, you know, handed it to me pretty good for about 9 months. She was. Even in a regular wrestling match, it was like a hardcore match with Jacqueline.
Wow.
You know, when Molly Holly came on board, you know, and I was in a match with Molly Holly, and she DDT'd me, and I came out of the ring, and I was like, oh my God, thank you. I love wrestling. I thought I didn't like it anymore because it hurt so bad. And I'm like, you're what I remember wrestling being like. It's not supposed to hurt, you know?
Right.
And, you know, Jackie for 9 months was house showing it with me, and she was power bombing me every night through the mat, driving me through. She was DDTing me without releasing her grip, so like literally driving my neck into the mat. And it was, I mean, my bell was rung pretty good for about 9 months.
Wow.
And I had about 6 black eyes. Probably half of them I gave to myself. You know, it was rowdy. I didn't like it either. It was pissed off.
How was
the hospital one time with a big, you know, she kicked me in the head, and I was down. I was selling for her, and it was a blindsided kick to the head with the toe of her foot. You know, it was bad. Talk about, you know, you can hit me hard. I don't care.
Yeah.
Hit me hard in the right places. I'm not at all. I'm a professional. I will never purposely hurt someone in the ring, ever.
Have you ever?
In that case, the guys kept saying, "Oh, you got to fight back. You got to teach her."
Have you ever had to give a receipt?
I'm not doing that because if somebody is good enough to not hurt people in the ring, but they choose to do it,
Yeah.
if I kick their ass, I'm not going to bully them into changing their habits.
No.
That's just going to be for the amusement of everyone in the back, and you're going to rip off the fans because no real fight ever looks good.
Right, right.
It doesn't play. Nobody sells. I mean, come on.
Well, actually, it's something we talk about quite often on the air, is that it seems like right now in wrestling, there's not a whole lot of selling that goes on. Can you give us a little insight as to how important selling really is? Because we have a hard time getting that point across.
And also, I also want to jump in before you say this, and we talked about the Taboo Tuesday match between Shawn Michaels and Triple H. You know, we might rip on the game a lot on this show just because of his promos, but
He's one of the best workers ever. I love watching his work.
But the thing is,
awesome.
and this is the thing I want to get across, though. That's what selling can do for a match. Michaels was physically unable to stand, and Triple H sold everything Michaels did to him, and when he hit the sweet chin music, he was out cold, even to a guy that basically had one leg.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like, well, there's psychology for you. There's selling. That's,
Yeah. I know it. I totally agree. And one of the matches on Triple H's path, another kudos we can give him is And I think you'll agree wholeheartedly that night in Charleston, it was Ric Flair, in his hometown, and you remember all the whole group came out in the ring to celebrate his. It was his birthday or his retirement. They said retirement, but he's still at it. I don't know, but it was a match, Triple H with against Flair, and it was just so beautiful to watch that match. It made me. Triple H gave so much, and that's what I love watching him do the most, is when he's a giver, boy, does he make people look good, and boy, does he put on a good show.
Yeah.
It's like something no one else can do as well, when he gives, but he's not a good taker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's don't take spots to entertain. Just go out and do what you do so well in giving the spotlight to other people.
Mm.
And it makes him look better than when he's, shoving a promo down your throat.
Right.
He is so entertaining when he's doing what he does best, wrestling.
Oh, I can't think of
He's
a match.
attractive. I mean, it made me want to run up to him afterwards. He'd probably run from me screaming, but it made me want to grab him and kiss him and cry and say, "Oh my God, you're the best! You're the best! You're the game!" But normally I don't want to do that because I see too much of him on TV. I want him to get off so I can watch someone else. But if he was doing what he did that night with Ric Flair, what he did with Shawn Michaels at Taboo Tuesday, that's when I can't get enough of him. It's like, ooh, yeah.
Oh, and there's always the oddball match on Raw that you'll see him in. I remember one with Rosie, the superhero in training, and Triple H sold his ass off for him. And for the first 5 minutes of that match, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, Rosie looks amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think he could win this match. And I mean, I knew better than that, but I was still like, this is some good stuff right here.
Right.
It makes you like Triple H when he's giving.
Yeah.
When he's putting someone else over, it makes you really dig him.
Yeah, totally.
But what is your opinion?
At it.
One of the things that I'm a big proponent of is I kind of am more interested in how the crowd reacts to things. Like, I do respect the great workers, don't get me wrong. But I think at the end of the day, more than in anything else, it's how the crowd reacts to you, if the crowd is into you or not. And, I mean, that's why certain guys that I like, the Internet doesn't like because they're not necessarily considered great workers. Like I said to you yesterday, Hogan is like an example of he didn't do a lot, but he got the most out of the least. And, he got a great reaction. There's a guy like that they're doing this with now, John Cena. What's your opinion of John Cena?
I think he most likely will grow into the marketing the big push he's getting now.
Mm.
I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he will not do a Brock Lesnar on us, and that he likes wrestling enough to grow into it and get seasoned and start learning and, finding his game. But I think that the wrestling part has fallen far short of what it needs to be a top guy. It's not, always the worker's fault, because the company tends to just go, here you go, here's a hot plate of success, now dish it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's overwhelming, and I haven't talked with him personally about it. I think that he is a dedicated athlete. I think that he's, got lots of energy, and he cares. He's conscientious. But I just hope that it's just that he hasn't had the time to focus on his work. I mean, it's like when you look at a guy like Undertaker, you think, oh, he knows it all. He doesn't need to practice. He's got a room in his freaking warehouse. Don't tell me that he can come out, especially if he's just working pay-per-view to pay-per-view or whatever, which he doesn't do very often. But you see him throw punches. That big man is agile and he's quick. When he throws his boxing punches in the corner, he's firing away pretty quick. I mean, it's hard to do jabs that quick as a big guy with a big, gigantic, long arm.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like, even the Undertaker doesn't take his work lightly and rest on his laurels and say, I can do a half-ass performance because I'm the Taker. I'm Taker. I'm over.
Right.
Company's going to push me whether I suck or whether I'm good in the ring. So I would hope that John Cena gets a ring in his backyard, and I hope that when he has time to spend at home, or when he is in Connecticut and there's a ring there with plenty of people to work with, that he hits it, just like he does the gym. Because it needs to be there. It's what we do. It's what the show's about. And I don't want, to watch I ain't buying a champ that can't fight.
Yeah.
I'm not buying a champ that's squash matches.
Yeah.
From other talent that I know knows how to work, and I've seen them in major great matches. So I don't want to watch somebody that everyone's paid to lay down for.
Well, let me ask you this:
I certainly don't mind looking at him. He's really cute, and he's a great cover boy, and I love his bling bling, and I like the spinny belt and all the gimmicks. Haven't listened to the CD yet, but from what I've heard, it sounds fun and all that. But
it's a lot better than you'd think.
I thought that it should have been a big, major, bloody mess when he achieved the title.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
I thought that was the
really weird match.
I mean, it's bad. I mean, you're now doing experience and everything. You know that the announcers should not be confused if a match is over. And the announcers were like, "That's it." Yeah. Wow, I'm surprised. And then they tried to really cover it up, but they seemed legitimately like that can't be all that this match is.
What a letdown! I know.
Yeah.
Weird, huh?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah, I think that a lot goes into marketing for any kind of star. Any kind of actress, singer, wrestler, dancer. Anybody.
Yeah.
So I love looking at the sleepers. I love watching the M&Ms come out. I mean, Mercury and Nitro and Melina, ain't nobody making commercials for them.
Right.
When they hit the carpet, they had a gimmick. They knew how they wanted to play it. They were really good at it. They had ring entrances that make people pop. The man furs are awesome. The work is solid. They know who they are as characters, as wrestlers. I mean, awesome. Those are the sleepers. And they take everybody by surprise. And I think all of our talent should be talented enough to bring that out of the gate without a lot of help.
Right. I actually agree with you. All right, so we're just going to have a couple more questions, then we'll let you go. But the question I have for you is, you mentioned that you're a college graduate, but what is your degree in, if you don't mind me asking? Public relations.
Journalism, yeah.
Excellent. So that would probably go towards what you're doing now with experience.
Yeah, and I actually just got a call from our talent relations office yesterday, actually.
Uh-huh.
And they said, Ivory, we want you to come to a USA Network party because we're switching over, as y'all know. And it's going to be a big, shindig for the business people and executives of USA.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking to myself, great, I'll be there. I'm going to be your number one schmoozer. We'll find out who the top man of programming is for USA, and I'm going to pitch the experience because I don't want to lose my job. So I'm going to be there with my cleavage hanging out and my biggest, brightest smile. And I'm going to find out who the number one USA man is. Now, I don't want the WWE experience to go away, so I'm going to be pitching for that hard.
I'll tell you what,
there's going to be programming changes, so we're all kind of fighting tooth and nail. We want our show to last.
Well, hey, you can always step back in the ring because, I'm sure I can speak for James when we say we enjoy the women workers, and you're definitely one of the best ones that I still think that they have to offer to this day.
Oh, please. I've got a long way to go before you talk about me that way.
I'm being serious.
I'm still learning. I'm a good, freaky, talented person in the ring, but boy, I would aspire to be as talented as Jazz and Molly and as natural as Nydia. Nydia, I'm telling you what, that girl's got miles to go. She is a catch. And I'm telling you, she could give the company so many years of great characters.
Do you think they'd bring her back?
Unbelievable. And you know what? So, you got a problem with hair or whatever, fix it. You know what I mean? Fix it. That's easy. Whatever. And I love her look. I love her big hoop earrings and her ethnic look and the fact that she's Puerto Rican and tan and, these people are, it's very short-sighted to try to get cookie cutter girls,
Yeah. Yeah,
who cares, right? I mean, would you, it's like that thing when you're at a match, when you're at a match, and you say you brought a date, and you want to find out if this girl is fun. You guys bring your hot date because all the hot girls like the nerds that think they're cool, like you guys.
Gee,
okay?
Thanks.
Okay, you're a nerd.
Yeah, whereas I'm Mr. 80s. So.
Okay, Mr. 80s. So you bring your cool chick, your good-looking babe to a wrestling event, right?
Yep.
And, okay, so now the women come out, and it's just, boom, they come out, they're interesting looking, they're, one's got muscles, and she's tan, she's got neon on, and she shakes her hiney, I think you know who I'm talking about. And then the other one comes out, and she's, blonde and gorgeous, and she's flipping all over the place, and kicking everyone, and, whatever. And, she's gonna be sitting there thinking, I want to be just like that. Or she's going to be going, oh my God, these women are like incredible. Or she's going to be, how could any woman look at that and go, what idiots? You're looking at your own kind doing this, ass-kicking fun, being weird, wearing cool outfits. And then the guy, of course, is thinking, I wonder if my girlfriend could learn a few of those moves. And, boy, I'd love to see my girlfriend in there kicking out. Ooh, hot. There's kind of this neat fantasy that goes with a woman that's powerful or tricky or conniving or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So silly and stupid that you want to see her ass handed to her. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's something for everybody. And a kid could think, oh, I wish my mom could do that. Or, oh, I wonder if my teacher can do that. Or, oh, I wonder if all girls are like that. There's a positive thing to it. And instead, right now, we're just given this really lazy approach of the women in our shows. It's so like cop-out, lazy, typical. It's like a comedian that just goes up there and pulls boogers out of his nose and says the F word a whole lot. No material. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never really cracks a good joke.
Yeah.
At this point in time,
it's like someone farting on stage. The Diva Search is like a comedian who just farts on stage. There's my comparison.
Well, let me just throw this last question to you, and then we're going to roll into a couple word associations, if you don't mind. I just want to ask you, do you think that them signing, originally the concept of the Diva Search was they'd pick one girl to be a WWE superstar, and now I think we saw 6 girls that made it to TV.
I know, huh? It even pays to be a loser.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I'm with you, man. I don't get it.
Okay, Chuck.
Maybe it's just that the winner makes more money or gets more TV time. Maybe they should rephrase the whole contest.
Yeah.
Well, let's roll right into some word associations. If you have a story, you can share that with us. If you just have a one-word answer, that's cool as well. And we're going to start out with Medusa.
Medusa, I think of her wild type. I always liked her outfit. And she's rough. Woo! I don't know her very well, though. No big, but I hear good stories about her.
All right.
She's kind of like a new age Mae Young. You know what I mean? She's like got a lot of girth to her. She's rowdy.
I have a story for you.
With the guys.
She's out there driving monster trucks now.
I know it. I think it's awesome.
I have a story for you, actually, about Medusa. Medusa told me this story in an interview once. It might have even been off the air. She just was telling me the story about how when Molly Holly, she was known as Miss Madness then, first went to WCW, Medusa, she was convinced that Medusa was trying to kill her.
Yeah.
And one time Medusa backed out with her car and almost hit her. She just didn't see her. And I just remember, she told the story about how Miss Madness, Molly Holly, whatever you want to call her, ran into the building to the office screaming, "Medusa's trying to kill me!" For some reason, that struck me as hysterical.
Well, you're going to have Molly Holly on the show.
Yeah, we're trying, but
you'll have to get the flip side of that story, because there's always 2 sides from Miss Madness herself.
Yeah, she's keeping a low profile right now. We're trying to find her, though.
Yeah. I know it's good to, get your life back. Yeah. And then start missing wrestling and then come back into it.
Yep.
To each their own, though. She's a good girl, though. She's one of the ones that I wouldn't mind driving with, because I know we're going to get where we're going. And a great wrestler. My God, she makes everybody look good.
She sure does.
And you always have fun in the ring with Molly Holly. She's really fun.
All right, let's move along.
She's bitched me out a few times down there when I'm messing around, So we both go flying out over the top and we're on the ground. I'm telling the guys in the front row, call me, She's like, stop fucking around. I hate when people mess around on the floor. They think no one's looking. Anyway.
All right, let's go on.
She can be tough up.
Let's go on to the next name. We're going to say Terry Runnels.
Oh, she's my the heroine in heels. That woman can do anything in spike heels. I watched her in Kuwait for 4 days, 145 degrees every day. She looked impeccably perfect. Where I was just like a sweaty hog. She had high heels on, and she actually climbed a gigantic concrete hangar, airplane hangar, that was out in the middle of this desert and had big bomb holes in it from when we invaded Kuwait and took over there, right? And the guy said, "Oh, go up there and take a picture." And so I'm like, walking up in my little hiking boots, and she goes like a gazelle up the top to the top of this thing, like it was like a pyramid. Ran to the top in high heels.
Wow.
And these are like those high heels that don't even have a strap on the back. You slip your foot into.
Yeah.
She gave amazing performances in the locker room with a little music, lip syncing with her microphone as a curling iron. Really funny. I have good memories of her, and I give her a lot of credit for being a mom while she's on the road and being a really good mom. She's got a good friendship with her kid.
Yes. How about somebody that
I love Dustin. I wouldn't want to live with Dustin. I wouldn't want to be married to Dustin, but I always love watching him work, and man, he is so funny. That guy's a kick, man. He's great to, be in an airport with, and on an early morning flight when everyone's all down and out and cranky. That guy's funny.
How about somebody that I don't think you're a big fan of? How about Sable?
Oh, I like Sable. She was always really nice to me. I never had bad run-ins with Sable. In fact, I came in to WWF at the time when Sable was getting major cold shoulder from all the girls in the locker room, China being, I think, the catalyst to it. And I used to hear the stories about Sable this, Sable that from these girls that were just as mean to me until they got to know me. Like, China was a bitch to everybody in the locker room. I mean, bitch. And it was because she was this big, insecure thing. And she bitched me out for wearing a leather top on the cover of Entertainment Weekly with Stone Cold. I didn't pick the top. The photographer picked the top. And I felt like saying, which I didn't, because I just said, okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? Be nice, be respectful. She's there before you. And I felt like saying, ain't nobody going to think I'm you. You're not the only one that you don't own all the black leather outfits. And I wear your costume. No one's going to think I'm you, honey. You're the only China in this locker room. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about everybody having different body shapes and everything. I mean, your shape is completely different than hers.
No one's going to take her spot. She's China, man. She's got it wrapped up, sewn up, in the bag, It would crack me up how those kinds of actions would make someone's, it's just like painting on your forehead, I'm insecure, I'm jealous of you. You don't have problems, you don't have issues with people if you're okay with who you are. You welcome other lady wrestlers into as long as they're, hey, if anyone's doing something that's good for the show, I'd go for it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Hey, if you're adding to the quality of our show, awesome. I'm not going to say anything bad about you,
Yeah.
Well, of course, I always say something I think. Like, I'd love John Cena to grow into better wrestling.
Right.
But I have the faith that he will with time.
Right. I mean, there's ways you could.
On Sable's note, I think just like the Medusa Molly Holly thing, Miss Madness thing, I think there's a big old story. Because I think with all those girls, she's beautiful. She's the eye of the bosses, the writers, she was getting Playboy before other girls did that stuff. So, hey, everybody hated her because they wanted what she had.
Jealousy.
So, to me, it was like all these bad Sable stories. Anytime I've ever been around Sable, and the second time she came back, I had a chance to talk with her alone in the locker room a few times. Very bright, I don't know everything about her, but she was always respectful towards me. We agreed on a lot of the same things about how the company portrays women, and we had both the same desires of how we wish they would portray women.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like, wow, there's a lot more going on there than I ever heard about from the other girls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's jealousy, and that's just the way it is. People are jealous of everybody. I have 3 more names for you, and then we'll let you go, and we do appreciate your time. We do appreciate it very much.
I'm sorry for taking up so much of your time.
Oh, no, believe me, we keep you on 24 hours a day. How about Victoria?
I think she's awesome, and she probably is the most frustrated of all of us. I mean, because she really is deserving of her shot. She's ready She's made. She looks great. She's got a great bunch of moves. She's really taking care of costumes. She's addressed everything about being a presentable, over character. Good guy, bad guy. You know, it's like, let the girl go and get out there and do something.
Yeah.
So I called her after her Monday, you know, smash-a-thon on all the girls after the bikini contest.
Yep.
And I was like, you know, the thing that was awesome was, and I first assured her that her ass looked really great, because that's what we always think. You know, was it fat? Did it jiggle? I said, man, your butt looked really good. You know, you even shook it, and it looked really good.
We'll second that notion.
There you go. There's no, you know, and because anytime, when we're out there, I mean, I know she thinks of herself as she's this big muscle woman, which is, I think, is awesome.
Right.
That when the company's hiring skinny ninnies that are models that don't really work out with weights and stuff, it makes you really self-conscious to stand next to, you know, Stacy Keibler in a bathing suit. So I told her, you look just as good as any of those other girls.
Right.
Really hot. And the neatest thing was when she kicked butt and the crowd's response to it.
Right.
That's what I thought was so cool.
Another thing, though, is...
You know, when she went and did her back with Todd Grisham, and the fans were like, yeah, because they were so ready to see women in action again.
Right. And another good thing was, though, she didn't kick, and this might sound offensive, like a girl. She actually looked like she was kicking the crap out of them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the interview was really, you know, boom, it was like heartfelt. And, you know, that's really all we need is for someone to give us the permission to do what, you know, I mean, come on, you know, I think it would be so awesome if all of a sudden they, you know, totally kayfabe it and they get Jack back and Nitty back and, you know, all the girls back, all the girls that can work.
Yeah.
We get Ivory back in there, you know, and we just come marching down, and it's like, this time we don't want to play dodgeball, motherfuckers, you know? Let's wrestle. And the fans would go crazy. Even if the girls get a shot in on us, you know? I mean, what they did the next night with Christy in the mixed tag was really good. They gave her fire.
Yeah.
They made her look like, hey, we don't expect you to be a wrestler. But they, you know, Victoria sold it great, put her over. So, you know, I mean, they will just work that angle slow. But wouldn't it be awesome if they could do that and really make divisions? Make the women who wrestle, and then make the really pretty girls. And I don't care how much I feel.
Yeah.
It would be awesome. And we could put these girls over and, like, make some cool TV.
How about I guess you would say your boss, Stephanie McMahon?
I think Steph's great. I think she's gonna. She's got a lot on her plate. You know, must be horribly huge shoes to fill with, you know, Vince, and both her and Shane work really hard and tirelessly. And I fun around with Stephanie, but I've never sat across the table and hashed things out with her or anything, because, you know, I know writing is her thing, and you know, it's kind of scary because you just don't know who you can really be straight with. I mean, if Tommy Dreamer was tested out to be a writer and they said, okay, forget it, you can have a desk job now. You know, the guy's got great ideas, you know?
Right.
Then I'm not going to go in there and say, you know, hey, Steph, woman to woman, how about we put the girls over this way, or, you know.
Right.
So, you know, basically all I have to do is look at all of the McMahons and go, what's my impression? I mean, I think they work their butts off. I totally respect the whole family for their energy and how much they put into WWE. And one of my favorites is Linda.
Yeah.
She's just real. They're all so different, and Linda is like kind of a role model to me. She's so classy, and she's so neat around. She's professional, but yet she's warm, and she, I think, has the same feelings about our programming that I do. But what she does is she finds the area of WWE that she can put into that makes her feel good, reaching out so that WWE has a good face, a good name, and is received by more than just wrestling fans in a positive light.
Excellent. And the final one.
She's awesome to me.
What about Miss Jackie? What are your thoughts on her?
I think Miss Jackie found her niche. I think she's really a good valet type, you know, dressed crazy. I loved her as Rico's Miss Jackie. I loved her with Rico because I think she really enjoys the crazy outfits.
Yeah.
She looks good in them, and that's where her comfort level is, I think.
Yeah.
She likes to wrestle. She respects wrestling.
Uh-huh.
But I think she's got a little bit of a monkey on her back.
Why is that?
And I can relate to it because I have it too, where you got to really have a lot of confidence in the ring.
Yeah.
Well, she unfortunately
And when
started out.
when it's live TV, and you got to realize that you got to make this work. There's no turning back. You know what I mean?
When she started out, she had kind of a mishap match with Trish Stratus, and I think
that hurt her confidence, and she's already maybe has a little bit of an inner voice that's my sense. I mean, that's what I sense. I think, and I've watched her, and I've worked with her in the ring before house shows.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you what, that girl goes in there and with a big old baggy T-shirt on, her little dorky cut-off sweats, and her wrestling boots, and she sweats and sweats and sweats. She can run she run anybody into the ground. Her and Tori Wilson both. They run like 10 miles a day. I mean, those guys, they're cardiovascular in shape, and I think that she has an interest in staying connected to her wrestling skills.
Uh-huh.
And I think that in the right setting, without so much pressure, she could probably start working into being a really good wrestler.
I think maybe SmackDown, because it's taped, and maybe the pressure of a live audience or the live television audience could, bear on you. Because, I mean, if you ever watched ECW, I've seen ECW in person, and then I saw it on TV, and they edited it so much that they can take a match that sucked and make it look fantastic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe because SmackDown's taped, they can, doctor it a little bit and improve on the imperfections.
Well, I think, too, and it's not necessarily, too, just a skill problem. It's kind of like, because I can relate to it a lot, as I feel that it's very hard to get your character going and wrestle successfully and believably when you kind of don't know who you are out there.
Yeah.
And there are times when, am I this sexy, crazy valet, Jackie must ask herself, or am I, a really tough girl from Tough Enough?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah.
And I think the one thing she can relate to is that she likes to wear all the hair, she likes to wear the color streaks, she likes the weird outfit, she likes the high heels. She can relate to that go-go girl dress-up thing.
Right.
So at least she can play the part.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that, and I think this is a challenge for a lot of women in wrestling, is identifying who you are. Like, when I watch myself wrestle, even today,
right,
it's like watching a different person. It's like, who the heck is that Ivory girl? It's me doing it. But when I watch myself commentate on WWE Experience,
right,
I'm watching me. That's me.
Right.
So there's something I can identify with in being a talker.
Right.
And it's a bit of a danger. It's like a bit of a stretch to see myself as a female wrestler still.
Excellent.
So there's a weird thing about, and I think that I used to call it kind of like some of our people in our show, they believe in their own music.
Yeah.
Kind of people that believe in their own hype.
Yeah.
And they really think they're all that just because our company's making them all that.
Yeah.
They believe their commercials. They believe their hot music. They believe they're 10 feet tall when they walk down the aisle when they're really just normal people.
Right.
So I think sometimes, even though that's not healthy in real life, I think sometimes that helps the success of a character in our business.
Right.
That they're kind of whacked out and they believe that they're that person.
I've actually heard a lot of people say things like, well, I sold out this arena. I sold out this arena. Well, I can't help but think that...
Great.
I can't help but think that whether you're on the show or not, it probably would have either been sold out or still been highly attended just because it's WWE.
Well, you know what it is? Advertising dollars fill the seats.
Right.
Period. Because I've been to, in these last few, less than sellout crowds that we've had at house shows in smaller arenas even.
Uh-huh.
You can have Triple H, Batista, Chris Jericho. You have all the guys on the card. Stone Cold visiting, and it won't be sold out.
Yeah.
Because they don't advertise it.
Right.
So it's a business, and they look at their pie and where they want to spend money and allocate dollars to.
Yeah.
And we started knowing things were different right after XFL.
Yeah.
Because me and Bubba and Devon and all the guys would be in our Hertz, rental shuttle bus at the airport. wherever, in Florida or something.
Yep.
And somebody would go, hey, what are you guys doing in town? And we go, well, we got an event over at the so-and-so center tonight. And they go, oh, I didn't hear about that.
Right.
When it used to be in our 18 to 20,000 sellout house show night, when I first started, it used to be that you'd drive into a town, you couldn't turn a radio station on without hearing our ads.
Yeah.
So, no, it's not about who brings the people to the seats.
Right.
It's who the people talk about after their performance on the way home.
Right.
And that's how I've always said, I want to be somebody that when they drive home at night, they go, oh, man, remember that? Oh, when Ivory was in the ring and she jumped on so-and-so, and remember that girl match was so good? That's all I hope for, is that someone talks about me on the ride home.
And the last name I have for you, then we'll let you go because I heard your sister calling for you, is, the last name I have for you is Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon
is oh my God, he's a trooper, he's a tireless businessman and loves to joke and have fun with the wrestlers.
Yeah.
I think, if he had 10 kids, he probably wouldn't have a very put-together house because they'd probably all be wrestling in the house. He's the neatest way that I've ever seen Vince is when he met, Ken Shamrock's kids when they were little tiny kids. Now they're all big,
Yeah.
When he met, Scotty Jihadi's kids. When I see him meet, talk with Dakota, Terry Reynolds' kid. And when I see him meet the babies of his wrestlers, that's when I wish I could take a picture of Vince because it's like the guy lights up. So I can only imagine how happy he is to be a grandpa now, So he's enchanting because he's mysterious. You can respect him because of how hard he works. And I think he's sexy, too.
Okay, cool. Well, once again, we can't thank you enough for your time. Is there anything you'd like to plug real quickly?
WWE Experience.
Yeah.
If anybody wants me to hit Todd, then they got to write a letter because I'm not supposed to.
And that reminds me...
And he's great to work with, too. I always tell him he's going to be a Jimmy Kimmel someday.
Yeah, he seems like it.
He better have me on his show as one of his first guests.
Right.
The guy's really funny, he's really clever, and he's fun to work with. A little bit of a baby. He's more of a diva than I could ever be, believe me. But he's a studio boy. What do you expect? He's not, he's never been in the ring, and he's not been on 10-day trips living out of a suitcase, so...
Absolutely. Well, we can't...
He's probably never stayed in a Red Roof Inn, so what do you expect, He's a studio boy.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we can't thank you enough for your time, and stay tuned for more from the Interactive Interview.